Hi guys, I'm back. I know it's been a couple days since we read. I was trying to take a break for the 4-day weekend. That doesn't really feel like a weekend because we're home anyway. But anyway, I hope you guys are having fun, finding some things to do that are off the screen too. I know it's hard, but I've been trying to go outside, go on walks, do whatever we can do to stay busy. Anyway, when I was a kid, some of my favorite books, and your parents will probably remember some of these, were called the Golden Back books. I have a few of these in our library, not too many though, and this was one of my favorite stories growing up, and it's called the Tawny, Scrawny Lion. So I wanted to share this book with you. If you haven't heard it, it's darling. So the Tawny, Scrawny Lion. This is a brand new book, so I'm gonna have to sometimes lick my fingers, but I promise I'll wash my hands. Once there was a tawny, scrawny, hungry lion who never could get enough to eat. He chased monkeys on Mondays, kangaroos on Tuesdays, and zebras on Wednesday. Bears on Thursday, camels on Friday, and on Saturday, elephants. And since he caught everything that he ran after, the lion should have been as fat as butter. But he wasn't at all. The more he ate, the scrawnier and hungrier he became. The other animals didn't feel one bit safe. They stood at a distance and they tried to talk things over with the tawny, scrawny lion. "It's all your fault for running away," he grumbled. "If I didn't have to run for every single bite I get, I would be as fat as butter and as sleek as satin. And then I wouldn't have to eat so much, and you would last longer." Just then a fat little rabbit came hopping through the forest, picking berries. All the big animals looked at him and grinned slyly. "Rabbit," they said. "Oh, you lucky rabbit. We appoint you to talk things over with the lion." Sorry. That made the little rabbit feel very proud. "What shall I talk about?" he asked eagerly. "Oh, any old thing," said the big animals. "The important thing is to go right up close." So the fat little rabbit hopped right up to the big hungry lion, and he counted his ribs. "You look much too scrawny to talk about things, or to talk things over," he said. "So how about supper at my house first?" "What's for supper?" asked the lion. The rabbit said, "Oh, carrot stew." That sounded awful to the lion, but the little rabbit said, "Yes, sir, my 5 fat sisters and my 4 fat brothers are making a delicious carrot stew right now." "What are we waiting for?" cried the lion, and he went hopping away with the little rabbit, thinking of 10 fat rabbits and looking just as jolly as you please. "Well," grinned all the big animals, "that should take care of the tawny scrawny for today." Before very long, the lion began to wonder if they would ever get to the rabbit's house. First, the fat little rabbit kept stopping to pick berries and mushrooms and all sorts of good-smelling herbs, and when his basket was full, what did he do but flop down on the riverbank? "Wait a bit," he said. "I want to catch a few fish for the stew." That was almost too much for the hungry lion, and for a moment he thought he would have to eat that one little rabbit right then and there, but he kept saying, 5 fat sisters and 4 fat brothers, over and over to himself, and at last the 2 were on their way again. "Here we are," said the rabbit, hopping around a turn with the lion close behind him. And sure enough, there was the rabbit's house with a big pot of carrot stew bubbling over an open fire. And sure enough, there were 9 more fat, merry little rabbits hopping around it. When they saw the fish, they popped them into the stew along with the mushrooms and the herbs, and the stew began to smell very good indeed. And when they saw the tawny, scrawny lion, they gave him a big bowl of hot stew, and they hopped about so busily that really it would have been quite a job for that tired, hungry lion to catch even one of them. So he gobbled up his stew, but the rabbits filled his bowl again, and when he had eaten all he could hold, they heaped his bowl full with berries. And when the berries were gone, the tawny scrawny lion wasn't so scrawny anymore. He felt so good and fat and comfortable that he couldn't even move. Here's a fine thing, he said to himself. All these fat little rabbits, and I haven't even room inside for even one. He looked at all those fine, fat little rabbits, and he wished that he would get hungry again. Mind if I stay a while? He asked. We wouldn't even hear of you going, said the rabbits, and then they plumped themselves down in the lion's lap, and they began to sing songs. And somehow, even when it was time to say goodnight, that lion wasn't one bit hungry. Home he went through the soft moonlight, singing softly to himself. He curled up in his bed, he patted his sleek fat tummy, and he smiled. And when he woke up in the morning, it was Monday. Time to chase monkeys, said the lion. But he wasn't one bit hungry for monkeys. What he wanted was some more of that tasty carrot stew. So off he went to visit the rabbits. On Tuesday, he didn't want kangaroos, and on Wednesday, he didn't want zebras. He wasn't hungry for bears on Thursday, or camels on Friday, or elephants on Saturday. All the big animals were so surprised and so happy. They dressed in their best, and they went to see the fat little rabbit. Rabbit, they said, oh, you wonderful rabbit. What in the world did you talk to the tawny, scrawny, hungry, terrible lion about? The fat little rabbit jumped up in the air and he said, oh my goodness, we had such a good time with that nice jolly lion that I guess we forgot to talk about anything at all. And before the big animals could say one word, the tawny lion came skipping up the path. He had a basket of berries for the fat rabbit sisters and a string of fish for the fat rabbit brothers and a big bunch of daisies for the fat rabbit himself. I came for supper, he said, shaking paws all around. And then he sat down in the soft grass, looking fat as butter and sleek as satin, and as jolly as all get out, all ready for another good big supper of carrot stew. Night, guys.